camera, no screen, no name, whatever you want. We are glad to have you here in any way that is comfortable to be here. I see Hi is already all set up for this hot chocolate experience. And I see some other mugs here as well. Everybody want to make a little l'chaim to each other? I want to give a shout out to Martha, who for years has been organizing our hot chocolate Shabbats, making this dark time cozy and warm in our community. So we are so glad to be continuing this tradition on this rainy day, maybe not so cold. You were showing them, yeah, you were given a l'chaim. And so we are glad to be sharing this annual hot chocolate Shabbat together. So
So Rabbi Carrie said she saw a lot of mugs on the screen. We also see a lot of mugs on the screen. There's a lot of faces and a lot of mugs. Ha ha ha, get it? And we just want to say truly, like, if you can transport yourself like into the sanctuary for a moment, Martha would have every kind of hot chocolate available to us, known to humanity, popcorn, cookies. Raise your hand. Have you had enough sweets today? If you are a sweets eater and drinker, have you had enough? All right, I know I have also, but let us raise, who has hot chocolate? Raise your hot chocolate if you have actual hot chocolate. Oh, wow, you really do. That's awesome. People on Facebook, we're so glad you are joining us, and we know you're raising your hot chocolate with us as well, and just feel free to drink and eat throughout this service, munch on whatever munchies you've brought. How many people are in their pajamas? Oh, Rabbi Carrie is. Oh, Ellie is. All right. That is awesome. I'm in comfies too. Oh, Ellie, you look very comfy. So this is our, oh my gosh, like we are in our living rooms, but this service really is all about being comfortable and cozy and warm together on this Shabbat. And somebody has written in that they have vegan marshmallows in their hot chocolate. I don't know who that was. Oh, it was Sandy Jo. Didn't know that. I didn't recognize the name. That's funny.
Your wife.
Yeah, there we go. Who knew? And so let's begin. This is the Shabbat after solstice. So we will only be bringing in more light as these next days and weeks and months go. And if you have your candles ready, we can light our candles all together. Oh, with a deep breath. Whew. It's Shabbos. We're all together. Theo is here with his mom and dad, Liz and Dan. It's so nice to see. Theo's eating his dinner. Oh, it's so nice to see you guys. All right, let us light our candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlek ner shel Shabbat. And in honor of this time when we start to bring in more light, each day will slowly get brighter and brighter with more daylight. This song is called Bring in the Light, and it's another Shabbos song, easy to catch on to if you've never heard this one before. Bring in the light, bring in the light, bring in the light of Shabbat. We light the lights of Shabbat. bring in the light, bring in the light, bring in the light of Shabbat. Lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Let's all watch the candles shine. Shabbat Shalom. Cover the challah, pour the wine. Bring in the light, bring in the light, bring in the light of Shabbat. We light the lights of Shabbat. Bring in the light, bring in the light, bring in the light of Shabbat. Lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Time to take a big deep breath. Shabbat Shalom. A joyful time for us to rest. Bring in the light, bring in the light, bring in the light of Shabbat. We light the lights of Shabbat. Lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
It feels lighter in our home already, singing with all of you in community. And we imagine these early services as Liz, Dan, and Theo are celebrating that we are joining you. And that cute little baby is Theo right there. See that one on the screen? His daddy. So we are going to say a blessing over, we'll say the blessing over our special beverage that we're using to sweeten Shabbat this week. So whether you are blessing a cup of wine, a cup of hot chocolate, we'll say Borei Peri Hagafen, assuming that as Dan Lieber is holding, there is a cup of wine for something that came off of a vine, but you can imagine whatever is bringing the sweetness to your beverage this evening, that you are blessing the source of that as we take this moment to recognize and increase our sweetness. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. We all take a nice sweet sip. And then Didi and I baked challah this morning, so we will show you our beautiful creation for the day. You sure can. And we sing. You want to hold it up? Okay, hold it to the camera. Ready? So everybody can you smell the challah? Can you smell it coming through? I think you're getting some thumbs up. Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And what do we do?
What's inside?
She always wants the inside of the challah.
Come, friends, let us welcome this Shabbos by saying, come, let us greet this wholeness together, this peace, this rest. We say, Lecha Dodi. Come, friends, we can do this together. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat, nekavla, lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat, nekavla, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom u'mevorach. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekavla. Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom u'mevorach. One last time. Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom u'mevorach. And may this be a Shabbat of many blessings for us all. And we turn now to Baruch Hu, dear one, calling on the light of our souls, calling ourselves home. And the last time we sing it, we're going to say, I am home. Baruch Hu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Baruch Hu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Baruch Hu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I am home.
Rainbow.
And we turn to the words of the Shema now. And the Shema, the first word is listen, to hear. And tonight we say, all is one. And on this very holy day for so many around the world, it was so quiet outside today, except for the howling wind and the rain. And let's just send that sense of oneness to all who dwell on this earth. We are all so connected, so interdependent, so part of each other. So just take a moment before we say these words. Maybe you want to close your eyes. Maybe you want to think about who, maybe in the next country or the next continent or in the next town or maybe your next door neighbor that you want to, or maybe someone who's sitting right beside you. You want to send that web of oneness out to whoever you think may need it tonight. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem
In this week's Torah portion, we find this interesting 3 phrases that have grabbed my attention and I've been sorting through all week. Joseph has become the assistant to Pharaoh, the second highest in the land, and his brothers and his father have come down to Egypt. They do see us, I promise. It's just I'm looking at a screen. And they have come down to Egypt. Excuse me 1 second. I apologize. Dee Dee, see all these faces? I'm talking to all these people. Can you be a listener and show them what it looks like to listen to Ema when she talks? Can you show them? Oh, she's so good at this, you guys. Do you see this? Isn't this a major thumbs up? Amazing, right? Look at all these hands you're getting here, Dee, for being such a good listener. So Joseph brings his father down and his brothers down, and they're all moving into Egypt with him. And he gets to present his father, Jacob, to the, yeah, there is a cute baby. They gets to present his father, Jacob, to the Pharaoh. And Jacob comes to Pharaoh, and it says that he says, Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh asked Jacob a question. He says, how old are you? How long have you been on earth? How many are the years of your life? And Jacob gives Pharaoh this very strange answer. He says, I have been on earth for 130 years, but the years have been few and hard, and they're not as long as the years my fathers lived. And then Jacob says to Pharaoh, and I bless you again. So it's a pretty weird thing to say. If somebody says, how old are you? You might just answer with a number, right? You might say, I'm this many years old. Dee Dee, how old are you?
5.
She's 5 years old, right? So if somebody asked Dee Dee how old she was, she would say, I'm 5. Ellie, hold up your numbers. How old are you, my dear? You're 8? 8 years old. So Ellie would say, I'm 8. You wouldn't have a whole long paragraph, would you, Ellie? Nah, me neither. But he does. Jacob does. He says, I have been alive this many years, and some of them have been really hard years. And also, I'm not as old as my fathers were. I mean, what does that all mean? It's a confusing answer. But I think that the answer to what it means lies in the fact that the Torah says at the beginning, Jacob is blessing Pharaoh, and at the end, Jacob is blessing Pharaoh. So somehow this description that Jacob gives of his life is a blessing. So I think we have to look at those words again to understand what it is that Jacob thinks he's teaching to Pharaoh. He says, I think, a couple of things, a couple of pieces of wisdom. When he says, my life has been this long, he's been alive for 130 years at that point, and they don't take those numbers literally. I think he's saying, yeah, okay. Can you hold up 130? No. Can you hold up 1 and 3? 1 and 3. So he says, I'm 130 years old. Everybody, let's see 130. And then can we get a 0 somewhere on here? I think he's saying there's a whole lot of ground I have to cover when I'm talking to my life, right? You can't just say, I need to finish this, and then I promise you'll have my attention. I think he can't just say, listen, it can't all be wrapped up super neat, right? Like you can't say, Rabbi Carrie, you're just a rabbi. Sometimes you got to watch Rabbi Carrie be a mom too, right? And sometimes those two things have to happen at the same time. So I think Jacob is saying, well, you know what? 130 means I have a big, long story that I have to tell you when I think about my life. Then he says, few and hard have been some of those years. Well, that's not a really great thing to say, right? He's not saying, and 130 years have been a party the whole way through. I think he's saying, and you know what? When I tell the story of my 130 years, some things are great, but I got to make room for the hard things in it too. Like, I got to make room for the ways that it's a little bit tough to talk about the parts of my life in order to tell you all of it. And then he says, and my years don't compare to my parents' years. And I think Jacob is saying, and you know what's not going to make it better? If I try to compare my story to somebody else's story. I have to tell you the story of my life in a way that is true to all 130 years, that makes room for the good stuff and the bad stuff.
And the medium.
And the medium stuff. You can't leave out the medium stuff. You can't just live in the highlights or the lowlights, folks. You got to make room for what's in between, the day in and day out, right?
Yeah.
Totally. And I think he's saying, and you can't compare it. It's got to be my story alone. So as we come to the end of this year together, and this last Friday night that we're spending into community, in a year that is, let's face it, like no other year, because we should be sitting in our sanctuary drinking Martha Berman's amazing hot chocolate concoctions. And mine's good, but it's not as good with what I'm making at home. Oh, biggest fan here. Thank you. But I think what we're saying is, as we take account at the end of this year, let's make room for the whole year. Let's find all of the high points, all of the blessings that were hidden. Let's name all of the hard things, because they're part of the story
and
too.
Hanukkah.
And we got to make room for all of it. Christmas and Hanukkah, all of the things that are a part of our life and bring light, we have to make room for as we figure out how to end this year. And most importantly, let us dwell in the gift of this time of Shabbat together. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Well, that is a tough act to follow there. That was a great duet, a great dual sermon there. That was beautiful. And we're not going to do a full Amidah tonight. But Yasher Koach, Didi, Yasher Koach, Rabbi Carey. Thanks for bringing that beauty to us. And instead of a full Amidah, we're gonna take all of that wisdom that just came to us, and we're gonna say, all around and everywhere there is holiness. If we just look hard enough, and if we sit with it long enough and open our hearts to all of it. So repeat after me and get yourself comfortable, and we'll sing this out. In the highest sky, in the deepest sea. Do your hand motions if you'd like to. All around, everywhere, all around, everywhere, holy, holiness, in the highest sky, in the deepest sea, in the highest sky, in the deepest sea, holy, holiness, in my heart, in your soul, in my heart, in your soul, holy, holiness, with every breath, with every step, with every breath, with every step, holy, holiness, in all we do, in all we are, in all we do, in all we are, holy, holiness, as with me, so with you, as with me, so with you, holy, holiness, all around, everywhere, all around, everywhere, holy, holiness. So we turn now, sitting in all of this beauty and all the sweetness of our hot chocolate Shabbat, to remember those, to send healing prayers to those who are in need of healing, whether in body or mind or spirit. And we open up our hearts and feel free to put names of people you're thinking of in the chat, either on Facebook or in our sacred Zoom room, or just in your hearts. And as a community tonight, we send healing prayers to Milo Baudet, to Grenache Bayless Ben Shandelmina, to Judy Angel, to Jean Borowski, to Andy A., Lee and Patrick Young, Arlene Ponte, and Jeff Alexander. Healing prayers to Alan and Joanne Travis, to Chuck Levison, Carmelita D'Souza, and Fiona Sutton. Sharon Solomon, we continue to send prayers to you as you are recovering so well from surgery, but you are still in our healing prayers for sure. To Tara Coyne, to Jeanette DeMarco, to Ayana Masla, to Marla Weiner, to Nelson Lovins, to Jill and Louis Landsberg, Joyce Bean, Kristen Geffen, Sonit Purv, Bob Lieberman. Continued prayers to Robbie Tovey as she continues to recover from shoulder surgery, and to John Nunziato, to Jake Yaki Renu, Norman and Fran Waxler, to Sue Boardman, Adele Ack, and Angela Panzone, to Linda and Fred Lukasik, to Nancy Alpert and Cheryl Ruxin, to Peter Nichols, to Lester Siegel, to Ed Snow and Emma Watkins, to Izzy Morse and the Mortel family, to Janice Weisenfeld, to Nadia Finkelstein and Joel Seiner. We send healing prayers to Rosalind Hoffman, to Joel Meeks, and to Judy Planchin. Continued prayers for Audrey Roth, for Bernice Hutzler Stein, for Debbie Gilman, for Neil Daniels Midman, and for Abraham Lyon. To Ron and Patty Shepard, to Mary Jane Gendra, to Jennifer Chase, Ellen Lee, Isaac Altman Sagan, Rabbi David Nelson, Jeff Bray, and Arlene Edelson. To Vicki Ullman, Gail Treger, Melissa Martin and her daughter Cassie, to Ken Blumberg, and to Jimmy Krasnow. Continued prayers to Asher Guy Ben Chava Hirsch Shmuel, to the Medeiros Rockenmacher family, to Justin and Jen Alexander. Prayers to Gladys Schuker, Peggy Schuker's mother, to Claude Lieber, to Nancy Lazaro Lieber, to Bob Friedman, Kathy Nath, and Mason Lee. Continued prayers to Michelle Macia, Chuck Macia, and to Tori Macia. Let us take all of the people we love and send this prayer out to them. You can also say this prayer for yourself. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu turn our prayers now to all who live on earth. And we say, may the one who makes peace in the heavens help us to make peace here. Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. May the one who makes peace above make peace descend on all of us, and Yisrael, let us say amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. May the one who makes peace above make peace descend on all of us, and Israel, let us say amen. Let us say amen. Let us say amen.
And as we are gathered together, we always take time to remember when we are held in the loving arms of community. We remember when we are alone, but when we say names in the presence of our sacred community, we acknowledge that we are missing pieces and people, and that we would like to be held in that time. So this week, we are honoring Louise Avedon, Debbie Mendez's aunt, and David Brown. We are honoring the yard site of Sarah Morenstein, Rob Ains' aunt, and Bernard Coleman, Stu's father. It is also the 10-year anniversary of the yard site of Debbie Friedman, Zichrona Livracha, as we sang her melody for healing. I remember where I was when I heard of her passing, how she has touched all of our prayer lives. We are in the year of memory for Shirley Siegel, Jack Vance, Billy Mortel, Helen Krancer, Myra Perez, Ida Burchad, Jim Medford, and Jerry Sachs. If there is someone you are remembering, we invite you to share their name in the chat function of the system you are using to join our community as we rise in body or in spirit for the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, V'agalal v'zman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivorach le'olam ul'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbet chata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the source of peace on earth bless all us, all Israel, all who dwell on earth, as we say, Amen.
So we are just so happy to have had this Shabbos with you. It feels especially sweet to remember together, to celebrate together, just to see you all sipping hot chocolate and in your comfy clothes. And may this continue to be a peaceful and comfy, cozy Shabbos for all. And a couple of weeks ago, I had the pleasure of talking to Nan and to Sue, to Nan Owens and Sue Gum, and we were talking about the solstice and the planetary conjunction and all these things that I've been so excited, so many of us have been so excited about in the sky this week, especially on Monday night. And as I often think of us, we are all earthlings. We are on this planet together, and there isn't a day that goes by that we forget how connected we all are on this planet. And what each person does affects the other. And they reminded me of a Sesame Street song called "We Are All Earthlings." And we thought on this holy day for so many that we could end by singing this song together. And you have to just imagine me as a Muppet. And I encourage you to look at the YouTube video because they are way, way fun, the way they sing this. And it's a pretty easy song to catch on to. And as we spin through space together, I know that Rabbi Carrie and I feel so grateful to be spinning with all of you all the time, but especially on this Shabbat. Some of us have feathers, some of us have fins, some of us are furry, some of us have grins. We swim and hop and slither, we leap and soar and run, and we all live together on a planet of the sun. We are all earthlings. We are all earthlings. Spinning around together on a planet of the sun. We live in the desert. We live inside a tree. We live high on a mountain or deep beneath the sea. We live in tents and cabins, in houses just for one. And we all live together on a planet of the sun. We are all earthlings. We are all earthlings, spinning around together on a planet of the sun. Floating down a river, swinging through the trees, climbing up a mountain and going with the breeze. All of us can have a happy, healthy place to be if we can float and swim and climb in earthling harmony. We are all earthlings. We are all earthlings, spinning around together on a planet of the sun. Spinning around together on a planet of the sun. Shabbat Shalom, my fellow earthlings. I'm so happy to be spinning with you.
Shabbat Shalom to all.
Shabbat Shalom all.
Shabbat shalom.
We're gonna stop our stream.
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're gonna stop our stream in